running. Otherwise, we'll be just talking about it all the time. So
Yeah. Easy, boss.
awesome. All right. I'll just double check if we're actually live.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we're kicking. We're good to go.
Yeah.
Ooh. Did you want to start off or?
Hey?
Did you want to kick off?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I'm mute all this, brother. So yeah.
Yeah. No, it's live now. It's live now.
Yeah, man. So what's the latest, brother? What's been happening?
Same old daily grind, brother. You started off way before me, so you know what it's like, and that's going around in circles all the time and trying to get stuff going. But yeah, it's going really good. Running the Victoria's first Indigenous Accelerator at the moment, which is really cool.
Yeah, nice. How's that working out for you anyway?
It's good. It's interesting. People have got their different opinions, and a lot of them aren't very valid or backed up. But yeah, it's going good. Like, I think we've got a good group of people, looking at bringing in some more if we can, and we'll have something really good to showcase, the world that, like Black Swans, Indigenous entrepreneurs exist, and we can, build successful businesses too. We've been doing it for thousands of years. Last 200 years, colonization, we've been locked out of the economy and doing stuff. And but yeah, now's the right time to move forward and really show the world what we're capable of.
Awesome. You talk a bit about the world there, mate. So what is some of the stuff you want to get out there to the rest of the world? What's that message? What's the voice? What's the impact, I guess, you want to see?
Like, I'm sure everybody's wants something different, but I guess for us, at Barayamal, it's just in the business world, a lot of people don't know about Indigenous entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of negative stereotypes about welfare and that kind of stuff. So it's just breaking those negative stereotypes and showing the world that we're here, we're still here, always been here, and now it's our time to thrive and hopefully build our own economy.
Talk about breaking stereotypes and some of those barriers down now. What are some of the strategies you use for that?
It's not necessarily strategies. I guess we're just trying to create a platform to show all the amazing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander entrepreneurs out there, businesses. There's a lot of great stuff happening in community organisations too. So yeah, just creating that platform to voice all these successes.
Think we're back now, mate?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Can continue, sorry.
Oh yeah, no, that was pretty much it. I guess the strategy is to create that platform to support Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander entrepreneurs to take things to the next level, and then showcase the successes. For example, at the Barayamal Demo Day and Awards on the 25th of October in Melbourne, at the Victorian Innovation Hub, where the Indigenous entrepreneurs get to pitch their businesses. To around 300 people, and also we'll broadcast that through social media and all that kind of stuff to just get the word out there.
How are you finding support for all these sort of things?
Yes, a bit hit and miss, yeah, like I think things are starting to change. I think compared to when I just got out of the Air Force and was trying to get into business, venture capital at that time and all that kind of stuff, like very hardcore, very focused on capitalism, which they still are, but there's starting to be a slight shift, and I think people are realizing hardcore capitalism, just doing everything for the profit, and not worrying about Mother Nature or the resources we have isn't sustainable. So they're starting to think, like First Nations people have been thinking for thousands of years around sustainability. So it's good to see that shift. And generally speaking, getting a lot of support. Obviously, from the from the government level, they've got their own agendas. But we were able to secure our first state contract end of last year, competing against all the members that's already got their hands on all the funding. So that was really, humbling to, be acknowledged, even though we haven't had any money and it's been, self-funded kind of thing, or getting a little money here and there where we can to run our programs. It just, it's, a bit humbling to be acknowledged that, we've done really well with, what we've had compared to, our competition.
Yeah. Nice. Your involvement with a lot of, I guess, younger people. Okay, right? How's that going as well?
Good.
Getting involved, I understand. With particularly with economic development, is always like, if you ask me when I was a bit younger, mate, about getting involved in that sort of in that sort of
You're
stuff.
not that old.
I'm making like wine on the outside, mate, and milk on the inside. So don't worry about that.
A few guys popping
up. Remember that? So.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, getting more young people involved, mate. Like, particularly, if you've got, grade 11, grade 12 coming out of high school, the words economic development, I'm not sure, it means different things to different people. But if you asked me back then about economic development, I don't think I would have been able to tell you too much. So how do you go out and inspire these young cats coming through and be like, well, this is something that you can do, and this is a way to change not just your community but your world.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty more inspirational people like yourself out there already doing that. But I like, for me, like, I'm in Gundah at the moment, and young mob run around everywhere and doing good stuff. Like, I think some of those bigger barriers have been broken, and a lot of youth are getting more opportunities to go to school and all that kind of stuff, get an education. So and obviously they're inspired by the people before us, ancestors and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's not about inspiring people, it's about giving them the opportunities. And I think at the moment, that's a big piece missing. Like, we've got all these young people stepping up, ready to, hit things out of the park and do really well for themselves and, hopefully for their communities too, but they haven't got the opportunities. And you see that a lot in the startup world. For me personally, like, a lot of these other young non-Indigenous people coming through, raising heaps of money, not all of them, but a lot of them come from, well-off parents, went to private school. They have those connections. Young mob don't have those connections. So we need to, set the platform again where, once they've, finished school and all that kind of stuff, they've got the opportunities to take things to the next level.
Yep. And how do you build some of those connections and networks?
Yeah, good question. I'm still trying to find that out. So very, very slow process, building relationships and competing against, the status quo.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. You just came back from overseas there before. I'm a very firm proponent and believer in the international networking and international engagement scene. How do you find it? And anything in the future? Anything coming up, or what's the GA, mate?
I'd love to do more internationally. I think, like, we went over to Silicon Valley, which was cool. From that business startup point of view, what was happening there. But what really, I guess, touched me and I got a lot out of was actually going to Native American communities around New Mexico, which was really cool, connecting. And they're in my opinion having similar challenges, even though they've got sovereign land, which is still controlled by the federal or the big government over there. They're very limited in what they can do, and they're still controlled in certain areas. So yeah, a lot of similarities. So it's just good to just go over there, connect with some of the Native American entrepreneurs, and find out what they're doing. I think it's important as we progress, and the world becomes more interconnected. Even though we like to stay in our bubble, where it's nice and safe. If we can reach out to more First Nations communities internationally, I think we'll be a lot stronger working together for First Nations rights.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think those links that can form internationally. It's the world's a lot smaller nowadays. You've got social media nowadays. You've got mobile, right? and the internet makes everything much easier on that sort of front. You talked a little bit about those some of those Native American communities now, and some of their young entrepreneurs, coming through and what they're doing. So fill me in, brother. Phil, what are they doing? Because being on the other world, I'm not completely up to speed. I'm not Mr. Current Affairs on these things. So
yeah, like obviously, I don't want to speak on behalf of them or any of that kind of stuff. But to be honest, there wasn't too much ahead or that kind of thing. I think we're all at the similar stage, just starting to get into that self-determination, economic development space, very very early stages, and yeah, from what I've seen over there, they're still trying to get help from the white saviors that control all the wealth. And I read a book, Decolonizing Wealth by Ivan or Ivor, a Native American, and like I really loved his analogy of decolonizing wealth, because you see it over there and Silicon Valley and all that kind of stuff, and then you see it here, where again most people that control the wealth here are non-Indigenous, usually settler backgrounds, and uh, the way they operate, it's it's not that great, and again not that sustainable. So I think if the Native Americans can get more support over there to build their own economy, I think it's going to create a better world for everybody, because First Nations people don't need a B Corp certificate or this social enterprise training. Like that's just how we grow up. That's in our genes. So I think the more the wealth changes hands, and the more First Nations people getting wealthy, and then giving back to the community, I think it's going to be better for everybody.
Yeah, nice, man. Cool. So what's 2019 hold for Mr. Foley?
World domination. There's obviously with the first Indigenous Accelerator in Victoria. So we just kicked off 2 weeks ago. So just getting the right people on board in that accelerator that we can showcase at the end of October. It's really major focus. And then obviously community-wise in Gunda, there's a few things popping up where I think I could add a lot of value into economic development and opportunities there, not to make money for myself, but to help the community utilize will help community convert some of the underutilized assets at the moment by bringing in some of the partnerships and the skills I've developed over the couple of years to help them build those assets that bring money into communities. So that'll be also a big focus of mine for the rest of the year.
Okay, nice. Okay, beautiful, mate. So what about juggling all this stuff with I know work-life balance is pretty important. It doesn't really get touched on too much. So how do you handle all that? How do you because some of the obviously not every day is a sunny day. There's a lot of setbacks. And there's a lot of very trying and testing times. You got to work weekends a lot of the time, and and there's not exactly a lot of breaks. So how do you manage, mate?
Lots of coffee. Lots of. Well, obviously, how I cope is just staying connected to community, to family, and all that kind of stuff. But it's it gets hard sometimes. But I think you summed it up. When I interviewed you for the the podcast like ages ago. Not too sure if you remember.
Yeah.
But it was like, something along the lines there, you have to do what's necessary to move forward. And you're a perfect example of that, when you're starting up the streets movement, just living out of the, little garage, tin shed garage there with the
Living
boxing
at a
community.
boxing ring, mate. It's not exactly,
Yeah.
not
And
exactly luxury.
yeah. And so I relate to that because, I've done the hard yards too and differently, but hard yards just, since I lived the Air Force, just trying to learn what I need to, to run and grow businesses and help out the community where I can. So yeah, that's pretty much just mindset, just I guess end goal. I'm doing what I need to do to get to where I have to. Well, obviously, I can help myself, but more importantly, help the community. And I think some entrepreneurs don't have that mindset. They're it's kind of like they want you to do all the work for them. And I think it's important, for anybody who wants to get into business and, make a meaningful impact is, get that mindset right, know why you're doing it and, push forward because at the end of the day, nobody's going to do it for you. You have to get in there, get your hands dirty, work in the trenches and get things done.
Absolutely, man. And I think a lot of people don't really talk about either failure. The failure is very, very common, man. Very, very, and a lot of times you gotta get knocked down more than a few times before you can get up and walk the right way. So what about that as well? Like, we can talk about successes all day, but it's much, it's like winning the jackpot on the poker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not, not every spin's going to come up right. So how do you deal with these sort of ones?
Well, again, I've got a few quotes here, but just that it could have been tried, could have been this, could have been that. And yeah, and that's just, basically it. Like you said, it's going to get tough. And, some people shouldn't be in business. There's other ways they can, help themselves and help the community. But yeah, you just have to roll with the punches. It's just like life, isn't it? It's just like riding the waves and can't think of any other analogies at the moment, but shit's gonna happen. That's just the way it is. But if you put in those efforts, like if you're not going to do anything, then nothing's going to change.
Absolutely.
Where if you put in, you don't have to like go all out. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But if you put in those little bits of effort, that's going to be a multiplier effect. So over the next 10 years, you're going to be so much further ahead than if you just sat there, just sat around the table, have a cuppa, just whinging about stuff all the time, if you know what I mean. And instead of just getting in there and having a crack.
Absolutely. Beautiful, mate. So with all this business, enterprise and development now, have you found that transition from Brisbane to Melbourne, mate? Has it gotten easier? Has it gotten harder? Is it a new market, a new environment? So is it what's changed now?
It's just same old daily grind, ups and downs. Obviously it's harder when you go into other environments, which are a bit hostile sometimes. So but I just stick to our values and Barayamal's values, and if people want to talk crap or don't want to help out, then that's fine. They got their own opinion, but we want to be a part of the movement that's actually going to get shit done and move forward. So I just focus on that, just results, staying true to my community values and working with our partners that share similar values, and that keeps us when people are saying bad stuff, completely out of their lane, got no idea what they're talking about, that keeps me going, that end goal, and working with people like yourself and that share similar values, and just to keep pushing forward.
What about in terms of actually making going into state and in terms of like universities or academic institutions or state governments, federal government, things like that? Has that been a bit of an easier transition since being in Melbourne, or have you still found it's quite challenging, quite difficult to engage with?
Yeah, we just secured our first government contract end of last year. But generally speaking, government's very hard to deal with. So, universities are government institutions, anyways. Supposedly non-for-profit, even though they operate on some of them operate on a 5% profit margin, which is 40 million in profit over 1 year. But but these universities are too poor to really put money into Indigenous affairs. I heard one story. Basically, the federal government supposedly, don't quote me on this, but supposedly got together with all the university heads, and university heads were like, the federal government was like, we want you to do more for Indigenous Australians, education-wise, and they basically, gave them the finger and said, we're not going to do anything out of our own money. And supposedly now the federal government, gives all these universities money now, which is why they've got their own Indigenous units. So it's quite interesting. But I think University of Newcastle actually dollar for dollar match the government funding. But again, it's all institutionalized by the current Western governments.
Okay, geez. Okay. So I guess moving forward from there too. What's the dream, mate? What's the vision? Is it to get one of these in every major city or urban centre across the country, or is it you want to just keep it in Melbourne? Do you want to do you want to go back to the community and do more there, or is it what's the plan, brother, going forward? What's that?
All of the above.
Looking like?
Yeah, all of the above. So, anywhere we can work, we will. With any community, it's more than happy to help out where we can. There's other organizations that receive tens of millions of dollars, so they're, I guess, in a better financial position to help. But we're starting to focus more on long term, being more tech based. Like this kind of stuff, and using technology to reach more people with the very small budget that we have. So that's a plan with Barayamal, to take things to the next level through technology, to reach more people and to help support more Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders entrepreneurs and economic development projects we can. And then obviously at home, Gunda is always close to heart, and everything that I'm doing is trying to figure out ways where I can help community. And in the past, I've brought forward proposals like to connect the local TAFE with the Red Chief Aboriginal Land Council to get more young Indigenous mob here, the right qualifications to get into entrepreneurship and that kind of stuff. And that, like, some of these projects I've brought forward for one reason or the other, like the TAFE just didn't have the capability to do what I wanted. Like, something happened and not as much funding, or the curriculum changed and they couldn't do it. But like, I'm always bringing stuff home, and I think moving forward, I'll probably look at helping more in the home front to build up those assets, and that can flow back in community and help fund more community programs. I think, in my opinion, the Red Chief Local Aboriginal Land Council could be the strongest, or one of the strongest land councils in New South Wales. But maybe or maybe not, the right people haven't been really helping out with that, and the land councils looked at being closed down a few times, which would have been a shame for the whole community. So I think if I can help out there more, get my hands dirty, working in the trenches here a bit more over the next couple of years, I think that'd be really good to set up the community here.
Nice. You see, you're talking to a guy about at the moment who can barely operate a mobile phone. So you talked a bit about technology there. So just run me through a bit of that, mate, about technology and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and how it's that correlation and where that connection.
How so? Like,
Just like talk about a bit before, like about that's a good platform. That's a good way we can be operating from by utilizing some of these things, and it's a good opportunity for us. But sort of being in the tech industry, but yeah, like I'm not the most tech savvy person around, so I'm a bit at a loss sometimes when people start talking about anything sort of tech based to me. So I'm just trying to understand what can we do, I guess, in the what opportunities the tech industry provide us as Indigenous people.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, obviously, technology is becoming more and more a part of our lives, and it's as AI and other technology industries develop. Well, what I've been looking at is, it's not necessarily creating more jobs, technology. It's actually displacing a lot of jobs. And if you're in the venture capital world, they're not looking for how many people these startups employ, right? They're looking how fast and big they can scale, and more profitable they are. So they're not looking at, a mum and dad business cafe. They're looking at these tech businesses where they can put in some money to build the software, and then it doesn't cost them any more money or much money to, grow, employ heaps of people and that kind of stuff. So, that's where the world's heading. It's, tech is displacing jobs, and there's not as many jobs as there used to be. So I think it's important. It's you've got to acknowledge that First Nations people have been in technology for thousands of years, just different technology, and but I think we can use some of the new technologies to really help with economic development, whether that's agriculture and vertical farming and that kind of stuff, in community, and also educates people too. Like, if you're in remote areas, you don't need to leave community to go to these universities unless, there's no internet out there. Well, that's another conversation. But basically you can just jump online now and do courses and all that kind of stuff. And there's heaps more opportunities to start your own business, online. You don't need to, again, leave community. You can start a business. You can, potentially get a job too, just by, working from your garage or your room at home.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So we talked a little bit before as well about the government anyway, and government funding and these sort of things now to start up things and keep things going and that sort of stuff. And well, I've got a little bit of experience in those space myself as well, and understand the complexities that come with with working with kind of agency and that kind of institution.
Yeah, I have to interview you next time on all that. So,
oh, please don't. But I was going to ask, mate, about I guess transition, because everyone always talks about a transition away from, I guess, that sort of funding-based model towards a more autonomous stream anyway. And, one that maybe comes from a network of well-established companies and thriving businesses or these sort of things now. So, got any economically anyway? Can you maybe give us a bit of insight into that?
Shit, sorry. I should have had a coffee before. Can you dumb that down for me and just say it again, please?
No, I'm just basically asking, mate, about as your transition away from government funding. Do you have a plan, or do you wish to sort of keep engaging with them, or what's the picture of that looking like? Is it looking to set up a network maybe of profitable businesses and companies and having them invest within these startup spaces for the young coming through, or is it more that we need to be working with the government and doing that sort of thing? What's your ideas on that?
Yeah, it's turned into a long conversation, but
no, we want to keep talking.
There's so much to talk about.
Here, all right?
Yeah, exactly. I can make it up to you. So, firstly, like obviously, I've got my opinions about the government and the
As
institutions,
we all
and
do.
yeah, and supposedly billions of dollars are being spent and nobody really knows where it's going. So and then there's heaps of middlemen in that speak on behalf of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, but really they just speak on behalf of their selected parties. So like it's difficult. Like I'd prefer to move into China's a bit extreme, but something like that where they don't rely on any of the other countries. Like they can just close everything down. They can still operate. So I'd love to see, I guess, First Nations communities eventually being up to that stage, where we can do things ourselves. We're not begging for, well, not begging, but asking for help, to move forward. So I think that's where we need to be, just from a power of strength. As from generally speaking, from the startup world and all that kind of stuff, like they want government to stand out of the way, but they still want support from government to help accelerate the ecosystem. Give money to venture capital funds, dollar for dollar funding and match funding for these new investment funds and all that kind of stuff. And I think that if the money's there and if they don't want to just keep spending it on stuff that does nothing, I think they should put more money. The government should help support but not control by providing more funding to First Nations communities for economic development. I think that, I mean, they get so much money, and obviously when we're talking about native title and that kind of stuff, like in my community, there's assets, under the Crown land and all that kind of stuff, which has strings attached on how you can use it and all that kind of stuff. And, they keep selling off certain parts of land. So, if there's an opportunity to, work with government, but not rely on government, I think that'll be a powerful mechanism. But obviously, the big corporates have so much money too. And they're just starting to, very hard capitalism, to starting to realize, corporate social responsibility and sustainability is really important to a lot of people now, and they're starting to change how they operate. So I think there's a lot of opportunities with tech companies like well, I don't want to say any of their names because, that I don't really believe in their raps and all that kind of stuff. But some of these big technology companies, we can leverage off existing tech. We don't have to rebuild it, to promote or conserve, languages and all that kind of stuff. We can use these big corporates and their assets, which outweigh the government, to really help out in different situations, from help building a solar farm to conserving and promoting languages.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. So I've talked quite extensively about a few different things here, mate, today anyway. But you've got obviously working with a few young entrepreneurs, or old entrepreneurs even, down there, mate, at the moment.
Yeah.
Can you give us some insight on that too? Can you give us a bit of a run through? So what's some of the new ideas and new up and comers on the horizon?
Yeah, there's a few different marketplaces, like still a bit early, and again, I think some of the entrepreneurs need to get the right mindset. We're here to give people a hand up, not a handout. Like they need to get down and do the work. But there's so many more amazing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander entrepreneurs that are coming up. There's only one of two Indigenous catering companies supposedly in Victoria, and one of them's in our program, Power Catering and Events, and they started from a couple of $100 around about 6-7 months ago, and now they turned over. Last month was an ADOC week, but they've turned over tens of thousands now within a very short period of time, and they've got national and global aspirations too. And another one is a marketplace for Indigenous fashion. The Aboriginal entrepreneur from Barayamal, she actually ran a successful business previously. I think they got up to 10 to 15 million in baby clothing.
Wow.
And now she wants to do something in the Indigenous fashion, and they're just starting out. But it's obviously. Yeah, it's in our DNA. The thing that's been missing is obviously the opportunities to, get into the economy and take things to the next levels. So there's so many, amazing.
$10 to $15 million bloody businesses, mate. They definitely know a thing or two that a lot of us don't. So, mate, yeah, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, she sold that. She's not in that business anymore, but it's just, you can see that with her mentality. In particular with the Indigenous fashion, she's just such, she's a bit older too, but she's just such a gun. You tell her to do stuff, tell her, this is what we need to support you, and she just does it straight away. And that's, the type of people I like to work with. But
go-getters,
like huh?
Go-getters?
Yeah, the go-getters, again, it's, and you phrase this, it's, it's not we don't need a handout, we need a hand up. And so, and there's heaps of those entrepreneurs out there, young mob and all that kind of stuff. Again, it's just the opportunities to help them convert those business ideas or take their business to the next level.
Yeah. So for any young cats coming through the system at the moment, mate, and they said, you know what, I've got a great idea, I've got this burning desire to do this, I don't know where to start. What advice do you give them?
That's a good question. I guess like I'd recommend everybody just take a step back, because I think everybody's got a good idea, but I don't sometimes. It's not the right timing. It might be a good time to do it, or as entrepreneurs, like I know when I was starting at Barayamal, like it just came out of frustration, deal with these government organizations and all the money they get, and I was just like, went to the startup weekend and thought, it'd be cool to do it. So a couple months later, did it. Same with the Accelerator. But there's so much, I didn't know. And there's so much that I needed to learn and do from experience. So I think what firstly they need to do is, get out of their bubble a bit more, travel around, do other stuff, learn different perspectives, different jobs too. Like if you're young, it's a perfect opportunity to jump in and out of different jobs and find out what you really want. I think those are the foundations, find out what you really want to do, have the skill sets, and, know why you want to do it, not just have an idea and say, I've got this idea, how do I convert it and become the next millionaire? Which a lot of them do, like more so non-Indigenous. But, I think that's the wrong way to do it. Like you really need to build those foundations first. And then once they know exactly what they want to do and where they want to work in, focus in that area, and the ideas and opportunities will pop up. And then from there, just do it. Just the Nike thing, just do it. Just get in there. You're going to make mistakes. We don't like to talk about it, but you're going to probably fail. But the failure is not actually, not being successful in the business. The failure is actually not learning, improving, and then going on to bigger things. And I think, it's, you need to have that mindset and that long-term thinking of, even if this shit fails, I'm still going to pick myself up and do something even better.
Yeah, beautiful. On that note, brother, I think that's a good time to say, thanks very much today, mate, for the chat as well. And yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Thanks for taking time to have.
And I think it's it's important for a lot of, like you said, a lot of younger mob anyway come through, even older mob, mate. Like if you want a new life and got an idea, get out there, be involved, get the hands dirty, get in the trenches like you were saying, and give life a crack, mate. Then you got one roll of the dice, so may as well do it now.
Yeah, that's true, brother. You've got nothing to lose, If you're just going to sit around the table, have a yarn, and not do anything, you're probably going to be there in the next 10 years doing the same stuff.
We got enough keyboard activists, mate, and keyboard warriors out there trying to put some boots on the ground again and do what made us successful in the first place. No, bit of action behind behind that. Bit of bite behind the bark. Yeah.
Yeah, so true, brother. And you summed it up. You articulate it so much better than me. But yeah, we need more action, and the activists have had their time and done amazing works at the foundations. But now we need.
It's still going, brother. Never ending. Still going.
Yeah, exactly. Need more action.
It's like a relay. They've just passed the baton to us.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to do a poor job of making sure that when we hand it off to our kids, you know, that we've dropped the baton on the way. So we've got
exactly.
to fill.
Yeah. And we'll be in the same position if we're just in that Ferris wheel, just whinging about the same stuff instead of doing things.
Sitting in that hamster wheel, mate. Sitting in the hamster wheel.
Hamster wheel, yeah.
Beautiful, man. Right. Thanks for today, brother. Thanks for the insights. Thanks for the thanks for the chat. That was awesome.
No, thank you, brother. Thank you for having a chat, and look forward to interviewing you soon.
Oh, mate, I'll be selling you my bill.
Mates rates.
Pleasure of your company, mate. Pleasure of your time is all the payment I need. So
thanks, brother. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, my brother.
Bye, bro.
Yo.